This story opens with a boy named Phantom Hive running to get into the school. He barely made it on time. Now he was standing before his dream school, Weston College, with special circumstances and boarding houses for only boys. Weston College had great values for its discipline and traditionary morals. Royals were seekers to send their sons to this school to get the status it provides. Our man was worried about his first impression, and suddenly he placed his foot on the lawn, and everyone made it a big deal and started whispering about him. He asked what happened, and the perfect four came. Edgar grabbed him from his tie and said it was Crockett. Herman asked him if he was a newcomer, and he said yes. Lawrence told him the rule that only the perfect four and the one permitted by the four could cross the lawn, so he had to memorize the rules, and Phantom Hive said okay. Gregory told them to leave, and they left. Edgar said a warm goodbye to him, and Macmillan came to Phantom Hive, gave him his hat, and said he was also a newcomer like him in the same class. Now they started walking, and Macmillan told him about the perfect four and that they had the option to select the fabric and color of their waistcoats. He also told them that all of them were the heads of each boarding house: Scarlet Fox, Sapphire Owl, Green Lion, and Violet Wolf, P4 for short. Phantom Hive asked why they didn't cross the garden, and Macmillan said it was a tradition. Suddenly he remembered about his class and started running. Now they were talking in the class, and suddenly Clayton came. Macmillan told him to hurry, and Clayton punished him to clean the shoe of Perfect, and he'd throw a welcoming party for him. Now after completing his task, when he went to his house, he got a shocking welcome, and they started tossing him because according to them it was a tradition there. Phantom Hive was shocked. Suddenly Michaelis came and saved our little man. He asked if he was fine, and Phantom Hive said he'd be if he had saved him sooner. Michaelis apologized for his missed convenience, and now Phantom Hive was in front of Johann Lower, principal of the school. He asked if it was a good day for him, and all the perfect four were also there and asked him the same question. They also wanted him to join their house, but it was the principal's decision who wasn't there. So, Johann was handling the situation. He was coming down for his sign but fell and got the signature on the admission form. They welcomed him, and when they were about to leave, he stopped them and asked how to meet the principal, but they said the principal never met the ordinary people. Only the perfect four were allowed to meet him. In this school, all the students were devoted to their studies, and they had the busiest schedule. While eating breakfast, Macmillan told Phantom Hive about the tradition that the junior boy serves a senior boy with all of his demands, like cleaning and stuff like that. Clayton serves Lawrence, and he is the man of Sapphire Owl. Macmillan said only the servants had the same protocol as the perfect four had. Only they could meet with the principal along with the perfect four, and Phantom Hive changed the topic because it was exhausting. He asked about a boy named Edward, and everyone started whispering about him because it was their tradition to avoid contact or any familiarity with other house students, because the houses had a complex between them. Macmillan told him about Erden and suddenly called for the work, and he left. Suddenly Clayton came and told Phantom Hive to clean the dining room, and he was shocked to see such a huge room but had to clean it. But he removed his eye patch and summoned Michaelis and told him to clean it because he wanted to check Edward, and went to the Violet house. He was walking and suddenly felt everyone staring at him, and Cheslek came and told him to leave. Everyone was saying the same thing and started throwing stones at him. He ran away, and Gregory came and asked what happened, and he saw Phantom Hive. He went back and was in a terrible condition. He was thinking about the traditions and the rules of this house when he saw a gathering and was shocked. Suddenly Clayton came to him and started praising his work. He was shocked, and he showed him the dining room, which was very neat and clean. Michaelis came and he was happy to see it. Phantom Hive thought that by doing so he could win the heart of Clayton, so he told him to ask anything. Now at night he was reading the letter of his mother in which she had told him about his cousin Edward and asked him to find him. He had not come home for a long time and had not met with his parents, so they were worried about him. Suddenly Michaelis came and they started talking about how they made the plan to get into the school because he had to do this job in person, and Michaelis was his butler, so he bowed his head. In the Weston school, because the traditions had high values and the relation between the house's head and their brotherhood butlers made a huge problem for our man's investigations. In this school, everyone had their duties accordingly, but the master had a great performance because he had to teach the students, guide them, and even at night if someone wanted help, he had to help him. It was a demanding job, but Phantom Hive made it more difficult by ordering him to do the stuff of Clayton. Michaelis started doing so, and he made a very good performance in that too. Now Phantom Hive was talking with Macmillan, and he was surprised that Phantom Hive was doing all the difficult stuff in no time. Macmillan said he might get the job with Clayton one day. Phantom Hive was excited about that because it'd be a great move in his research. Now in the lawn the perfect four were sitting, and Cole was serving Edgar, and Herman complimented Phantom Hive and everyone started talking about him. Gregory said Phantom Hive visited his house, and Clayton was surprised because, at the same time, he had to clean the dining room. Everyone was surprised with his abilities, and Edward asked Herman to talk, and when he got permission, he started talking about Phantom Hive. They were cousins, and he said Phantom Hive was a brilliant person and Edward was the one Nadim Hive was looking for. Everyone was happy to hear such words from our man, and they decided to call him at 2 p.m. Cole asked to invite him, and Edgar permitted him. In the class, a boy ran to Phantom Hive and he was very excited because he had talked with Cole because of him, and Phantom Hive went to talk with Cole. Cole told him about the invitation and said he had to be on time. At 4 p.m., our man got excited, and when Cole left, everyone surrounded Phantom Hive because Cole was the most beautiful boy in the school. At night, Michaelis was helping the students and suddenly his master came in. Phantom Hive told him about the invitation and said it was their golden chance, and Michaelis suggested he win their hearts with the sweats he'd made for them tomorrow, and they decided on all the thongs. Suddenly another student came. They got their positions back when the next day he visited them, and Clayton yelled because he was 2 hours late. He tried to tell them that Cole told him to come at 4 p.m. but they didn't believe him, and everyone was disappointed in him. At night he was very angry and Michaelis asked about his next move. Phantom Hive told him that Cole had to pay a big price for that and said lying would be his great habit and he had to pay for it. Furthermore, Cole's hands were very soft, which means if he was doing all this stuff for his master then it wasn't possible, so Phantom Hive ordered Michaelis to keep a strong eye on Cole and investigate him. In the class, everyone was whispering about Phantom Hive and it was depressing. On the other side, Cole got some data from 2 boys and Michaelis was peeking. Cole went to Edgar and gave the data and said he collected it, which was a lie. He asked for the tea and Edgar asked for a special type of dessert. Cole was happy and Phantom Hive was keeping an eye, and when he served Edgar, Michaelis was there. Joanne was in the library and Michaelis helped him. Michaelis asked if he was depressed, then they could talk, and Joanne started telling him about Cole. He said Cole always asked him for tasks like the collection of data and theoretical stuff. In return, he offered to give him a job, but when he got the invitation it disappeared, and everyone made fun of him. He was very depressed and Michaelis tried to cheer him up. Phantom Hive got the investigations that Cole did his job by making other students. Now they wanted someone who could get into Edgar's house and keep an eye on Cole, but when they thought about that person it was Phantom Hive, all in vain because he had refused it. At night Macmillan came to Phantom Hive and asked to sleep with him. He allowed him, and they started talking. Phantom Hive told him about the lie of time and Macmillan said he had heard the time and Phantom Hive was right, and even Macmillan would ask others for his sake, and our man got happy to hear that. Now the next day, a rich student named Sum was entering the school on an elephant and everyone was staring at him. But he was summoned by our hero to keep an eye on Cole. But he started calling Phantom Hive and our man started walking away. But he suddenly captured him, and they started talking. Phantom Hive told him to be quiet about their relationship and he had to do this job silently because our man had only one friend, and Soma got emotional. But Soma was a big fool and he asked Cole to be friends with Nadamive. Cole was disturbed because of him because he was irritating him everywhere. At night Soma went to ride his elephant and it got scared and ran into Cole's room. It got ruined and Edgar prohibited him from using it again and asked Cole to use his bed for tonight. But Soma said Cole could sleep with him because he was responsible, and Edgar agreed, but Cole was angry. Now they went to his room, and they slept. But suddenly Cole stood up and started walking. Soma was following him, and he started placing some cards in the post office. When the next day he went to talk with Phantom Hive, he was surprised to see Michaelis, and when they talked Soma told him about the cards and the information he had collected. It was great help by his side and Phantom Hive thanked him, and he left. Phantom Hive ordered Michaelis to complete the investigations and they would dispose of Cole tomorrow. Now Cole and Phantom Hive were together, and our man started talking. He started asking him about his lie and the things he was doing with other boys. But Cole refused to accept everything and asked for proof, and our man showed him the cards and Cole was shocked, and our man said he had collected them with great effort. Because it was collected from the garbage, Michaelis made a great effort in it. Our man asked him to be honest with Edgar, but he summoned his friends. Cole was brutal and his boys held our man, and he burned the cards, and Cole said he'd teach him a lesson by clicking shameless pictures of him. But suddenly Herman and his butler came, and they started helping him. Cole tried to apologize, but the other two were also there. Cole asked how this was possible, and we told him about the pathway of vibrations and what he had done with the paintings there. Edgar was also listening to everything, and he said Cole was ashamed for him. Last but not least, our man gave him the last surprise of the day. His real-faced picture complimented his makeup skills. Everyone complimented him, and our man succeeded. Now time for a reward, and Clayton asked him to be his servant and he accepted it because it was what he wanted. Now when he came out, Macmillan with everyone was waiting for him and they were happy for him. Soma was also happy because our man had become part of P4 somehow. At night he was with Michaelis and he complimented our man's hard work. But Phantom Hive was still far from his main mission. Arden, our man wanted to find him because the Queen had sent him to find Arden and the lost students from the school. Phantom Hive still had a long path to go because even after becoming the fag of Clayton, he wasn't able to attend the midnight parties with the principal. So, he wanted to get closer to the perfect four and wanted to get information from Gregory. The next day Gregory was making a drawing for Herman, and he was in pain. Pain in the lower back is unbeatable. Everyone was there, and Edgar was teasing Herman. but they were talking about the 4th of June. Phantom Hive asked about it and Joanne started telling him about the annual cricket match. Everyone told him that it was a grand match and all the dorms got excited and anxious about it. Because it was a matter of competition, Edward was excited, but Gregory wasn't interested in this stuff. But Cheslek was fully energetic to compete. Clayton told him that outsiders were also allowed to enter the Eve dinner and Edgar was very excited to dance with hot ladies. Suddenly our man noticed that Gregory was making other sketches and making Herman suffer. Edgar said that Lawrence was the only one who never got close to any girl because he had a lot of real sisters. Joanne asked about his siblings and Lawrence told him that he had 3 elder sisters and 4 younger sisters. Oh yeah, a lot of sisters. Lawrence was the only man. Gregory was still making other sketches, and Edgar asked about Phantom Hive's fiancée, Edward's sister. Edward said she was coming at his invitation, not at Phantom Hive's invitation. Edgar asked if he had done anything naughty with Elizabeth and Edward got angry. Phantom Hive was shy and Cheslek asked him not to be shy, but Edward also got angry again. Suddenly Herman stood up and said the 4th of June's match would be a grand opportunity for the dorms and he'd nail it. Gregory was still making his sketches and Phantom Hive was stressed, but he had to talk with him, and it didn't work. He wanted to know about his mission and so he said it'd be difficult to compete against his friend in another dorm. Cheslek asked about him and he called the name Arden. All the Perfect Four were shocked to hear that name. There was silence for a minute and Phantom Hive got a scary response. But their butlers were normal and Phantom Hive realized that something was off there. The Perfect Four started talking about Arden and that he was a superhuman, who was best in everything, and when he asked about Arden's speciality he got 4 answers from them and they said the principal decided to transfer him from Red House to Violet House. He was shocked to see that the P4 was very sure about the principal's decision and he got nothing more to know from them. He was sure that the P4 was hiding something from him but he couldn't anymore now. So he went to Edward in person and asked about Arden. He gave him some information but that wasn't enough. He was about to leave, and Edward asked if he was a watchdog. But Phantom Hive didn't give him any serious answer and left. Now our man went to Macmillan and asked about Arden and got some information. All the students came to know more about the P4. But he refused and left. He went to other students and asked them the same questions but got nothing new to know. Soma came to him, and he was thinking about his information and Gregory was watching him. Michaelis was going with Johann, and they were also talking about Arden and suddenly Johann slipped and fell. Johann also gave Michaelis nothing and he was also stressed. Now in class Michaelis gave him a piece of paper and at night Phantom Hive went to the library. Michaelis hid him because Lawrence came and checked. But he found nothing because Michaelis was hiding him under his coat. They both were angry because they got nothing but the principal decided on it, so Phantom Hive decided to use all the means to get Arden out of the Violet House. They went there and he threw a fire lamp and burned a fire inside the house. It started burning and they were sure that everyone would come out because it was the rule of the school. Suddenly everyone started coming out and Cheslek was rescuing them. Phantom Hive told Michaelis to check for Arden, but he found him nowhere. Phantom Hive came to know that he wasn't there from the beginning and the trouble got more curious. All the perfects came too, and our couple was sure that something was hidden in the hearts of these P4. Everyone decided to help and Michaelis came with water on the elephant. Gregory stopped them but Soma yelled at him and Cheslek tried to get angry, but Gregory stopped him. Everyone started helping and Michaelis was sure that there was something suspicious. Phantom Hive was also stressed, and Macmillan was talking about the 4th of June tournament. He said that the principal would come and would allow a student to attend the midnight party. Phantom Hive asked him more about it. Macmillan started telling him that every year principal attends the match and offers the opportunity to students to attend the midnight party. Phantom Hive asked if he had to win but Macmillan told him that the criteria were different all the years. The principal gave this offer to different students but with great morals. Phantom Hive was thinking and suddenly Clayton came and took to a side. Clayton asked him to join the team for the match and our man was happy. He asked why they chose him, and Clayton said Michaelis preferred him because he was very good at handling the matter with Cole. Phantom Hive got excited and went to him. Michaelis was going, and some students were also there, so he hugged him and formally thanked him. They were pretending to be normal but now they were very close to their real mission of making Phantom Hive close to the principal. Now they both moved to their paths and were hopeful for the new tomorrow. The opening festival was as lively as it was administered. Suddenly Johann asked for everyone's attention and welcomed them. Now he welcomed the Perfect Four with their teams. Suddenly an earthquake makes everyone stressed and firstly Greenhouse with their head Herman entered the hall. Elizabeth was cheering for her brother Edward and suddenly the Red House with their head Edgar came in and all the girls were flat. But the lights turned off and the mysterious house with their head Gregory came in without any door and everyone was scared. Last but not least the Blue House with Lawrence entered the hall and Phantom Hive was one of them. He was a little scared, but Elizabeth cheered for him. and Edward was angry. Johann told the heads to lighten the fire and they promised to play fair in the game and light the beautiful light. Johann announced the opening of the match, which will be tomorrow, and now they could enjoy the dinner, and when he was going down, he fell. Greenhouse was busy with eating, Edgar was busy with the hot girls, Gregory was spreading a scary environment, Lawrence was teaching ethics to his team, and suddenly his sisters came and hugged him. He was embarrassed and his sisters started teasing him, and Phantomhive was shocked that it was the same as Gregory had painted them. Suddenly one of his sisters came to Phantomhive and started complimenting him because Lawrence had told them about him, and she asked to marry one of her sisters, and Elizabeth came. She introduced herself as his fiancée and she was angry. It was impossible to share your loved one with anyone. Suddenly Edward came and he was angry, but she stopped him, and our man saw Soma and asked how he was chosen, and Soma told him that he was very good at cricket. Suddenly Edgar's uncle came, and our man recognized him and was shocked that Edgar was the same as him. Phantomhive tried to escape because he was known to his uncle, and Michaelis was also stressed because of this party, and Frances was also bored. She asked him what he was doing being a butler of her son-in-law, and Elizabeth also recognized him, but he stopped her from saying anything. All of them gathered there and came to know that our man was there for a mission. Suddenly Leon told them that he knew about the victory of Blue House in the past, and Macmillan got excited and wanted to know. So, he started telling them that when he was young, he went to Vincent, Phantomhive's father, he was angry at him, and he was studying his book. Leon yelled at him and told him not to lie on the lawn, but Vincent was also perfect, and he refused to agree with him. They had a little argument and he attacked Vincent, but he was very calm and relaxed. They both decided that whoever would win the match on the 4th of June had to accept an order from the winner, and Leon accepted that and said Vincent had to leave his post, and Vincent wasn't sure about his order, so leave it on time. Greenhouse lost the match and Blue House won it because of Vincent. Now he was in the garden and Leon went to him and asked for his order. Vincent was shocked to see him and asked him to be his butler, and it was very shocking for Leon to accept, but he had no other option. Everyone was shocked to hear that story, and even Phantomhive was shocked to hear that his father was also in the Blue House. Elizabeth and Edward were shocked that their father was a drudge, and he told Natamive that he had a special bloodline, so he had to prove himself. Johann came to the mic and asked to announce the brackets of the match. Our man didn't believe in the miracles, so he was sure to win the match. Blue House was against the Red House for the first match, and everyone was very arrogant about their winning. The match began and the Red House was amazing at their skills, and they were a very hard time for our team. Elizabeth and the others were sad, so they started cheering for their team, and Michaelis found them useless and went for his move. Edgar was also amazing, and he was hitting the balls like roses, and his uncle was happy to see his nephew doing so well. Now it was time for a break and Lawrence asked to go next, but Michaelis wasn't there, so Phantomhive told him not to change the plan. Red House was looking for the chicken pie and they found it. They got it now, served everyone, and the match started again. Michaelis came back and the match also started. Joanne was bowling for Phantomhive and now it was about to be the last ball, but he suddenly fell. One by one all the players started falling, and Edgar also felt stomachache. Now if we revived it. Michaelis had changed the pie with beef pie, and that was their plan. It was a laxative and they felt diarrhea. Joanne was in a tight condition, but Edgar couldn't help him because he was also helpless. The coach declared the Blue House as the winner, and now it was time for the match between the Green House and the Violet House. Cheslick was doing well, but when Herman came, he changed the wind and won the match. Now the final match was between Blue and Greenhouse. History was about to be repeated. Greenhouse players were doing their best, but Blue House was playing with closed eyes, and Edward was shocked. Suddenly he noticed the trick because Phantomhive had already made the plan for it. Lawrence was against it, but he argued with him, and he agreed, and the plan was to focus on the music Michaelis would be playing. But Edward came and ruined the plan. Edward thought that he was mediocre, but in reality, he was a genius, and Herman was also proud of him. Suddenly the principal came, and it was time for the next plan. Our team playing with the Greenhouse, and suddenly a player got out because the signals were lost. Clayton and Lawrence asked about Michaelis, and Phantomhive told them that he had gone for a natural call, which was disturbing for them. But Michaelis couldn't see or catch the principal because he was faster than he was thinking. Now House was playing and Phantomhive was bowling, and the batsman got out. The other one came and thought it was easy to hit the ball, but he also failed to hit it and got out. Herman and Edward were angry, but the batsman was not at fault because it was Michaelis's plan, and when Phantomhive heard it, he wasn't sure if this could work. But Michaelis was sure about his plan because nothing can change the nerve of a man, he believed. Now Edward came for batting and also missed the ball, and everyone was shocked and was bullying the Greenhouse, but he was not at fault. I'm telling you again. Because he got lusty also after seeing such a sizzling, mouth-watering amusements and was still trying to concentrate. Rubbish man, and got out because of that. If he tried to enjoy it, then it was worth getting out. But all in vain. Phantom Hive was excited because the plan worked very well, and now it was Herman's turn, and he also lost his lust for the beauties. He lost it, and Michaelis was right that nothing can change a man's nerve. Whatever, Michaelis was losing the headmaster again and again because he was moving very fast. Matter of speed, the greenhouse team was cheered again to gain their lost respect, and now Lawrence used the next technique that Phantom Hive taught them. They just had to hold the bat and the remainder would do the strong baller, and it was true, this was working very well. And the hope was hyped in the Blue House team. Because their score was increasing and now only 12 balls were left in between the winning of the Blue House, they used their next technique and decreased the fielding area. That was shocking for everyone, and Michaelis was watching the headmaster, and they were alone. He decided to lose his control and used his demonic powers and tried to grab him, but the master vanished in an instant. That was pretty good and shocking, and he got only his hat and coat. He thought that the headmaster was not a human because it was impossible to vanish that fast, and Phantom Hive was balling like rubbish. The batsman called it wrong, but our man proved himself right with logistics, and everyone was shocked because he was on point. But the audience didn't clean their seats and started saying that it was not cricket. Like, what was it meant? You tell me if it was right to call our hero a cheater. Blue House was under pressure, but whatever. Now Herman came forward and said Blue House was playing well because their hands were proof of their hand practice, and he couldn't judge a book by its cover. They deserved it, and said Blue House was like lions, owls, etc. Batsmen were trying to pull this off, but our hero was punishing them like a pro dad. At the end of the hill's head. Now Edward came and he got a 6 on his first ball, and it was amazing. Sadly, our man was disturbed because he always knew that he couldn't win over Edward. But Lawrence came forward and said Phantom Hive was done, so he had to try his luck, and he did the ball, which went out of the sky, shocking everyone. Lawrence was proud, and he was thinking about his failures in life and how he always watched the success of others. But then Phantom Hive came, and he practiced a lot, which pushed him to do something, and that was a pro out for Edward. Everyone was shocked, and Lawrence's move was like an Owl in the Night movie. Now it was the second last ball, and Herman came and Lawrence did his ball. It was an amazing out of the field 6. Now the score was creepy, and our team was in a tight moment, but Phantom Hive went to Lawrence and said they had done their edge. So, he just had to do their last ball, and everyone was with Phantom Hive. When he did it and Herman hit it, Phantom Hive got injured. Everyone was shocked, and Herman tried to help him, but in the hotness of the time Phantom Hive threw the ball to the wicket and it was out. Our team won the match. At last, this ended, suffocating, and everyone was happy to the next level. Our hero was being tossed and he was enjoying it. He forgot the pain and enjoyed the amazing wind. Michaelis came and said he needed first aid. But our man was still on cheap drugs and was happy. Everyone was happy and crying at the same time, so Michaelis took Phantom Hive away. He started first aiding him, and now it was hurting. But Michaelis didn't stop until the bleeding, and our man asked for the ball. Michaelis said he had retrieved it and handed him the ball because Phantom Hive had noticed everything and manipulated the ball's positions and everything. He got the injury on purpose, and that's how everything happened and why he wanted the heavy ball to finish it. Now he asked about the headmaster, and Michaelis was sorry. He told Phantom Hive about the headmaster's disappearance and showed his hat and coat. It was a shame, but Phantom Hive wanted to solve it after a desert. Michaelis showed him a mouth-watering dessert and said he couldn't eat it right now because everyone had come in. They were concerned about his injury and were happy for his success. Macmillan was also telling him that he wasn't sure about his success, but he nailed it pretty well, and everyone had made a hat for him, and it was looking great on our hero because it was cheap. Now everyone was enjoying the after party, and our man was struggling with his height because his uniform for the ceremony was too big for him, and now they didn't have time for a new one. But the problem solver, Michaelis, had already stitched a new one for him according to his size because he was sure about his master's success. Now our man went out and everyone was in tears because our man was looking handsome. Macmillan took the group photo and the team's leader told them not to make any mistakes in the sunset. Now it was time for the salute ceremony to the Queen. Our team went on the way, and it was very beautiful. Everyone was happy, and our man stood up and was seeing the Queen. He was thinking about the promise he had made to her to get all the information about lost students, and he was ready for the salute. His team also stood up. But there was a little disturbance because they had not practiced for the salute and fell into the lake. Now it was their real place because after a success it was rubbish, and everyone laughed at them. But our man was shocked to see the stars firing. The fireworks were amazing and filled everyone's eyes with tears and smiles on their faces. Now they started enjoying the party like they had not visited any like me in about last 6 months. So if you have any party by chance, then invite me and I'll never mind. Sad, the party ended, and our man came to his bed and saw the invitation, and everyone was shocked and happy for him because Phantom Hive was invited to the midnight party and Michaelis was also there. And they talked with their eyes a little, and at night everyone was sleeping. But our man stood up and got ready for the party. He was excited about it deep down, Clayton came and took him to the office where all the P4 were waiting for him and welcomed him in one voice. Suddenly the piano started, and a mysterious door opened. They went in and started walking. Phantom Hive was stressed and the way opened through a door to a beautiful garden. The headmaster was waiting for them, and Johann welcomed them and asked to sit. Now Edgar asked for a cheer, but our man was silent, and he refused. He asked about Arden and the lost students. Everyone tried to stop him, and he told Lawrence that he wasn't crossing his limits, and he was on point. He told them about all the research that he had done and found nothing but dust at the end, and now he was in front of the headmaster, so he wanted the answer now. Because he was sure that the P4 and the headmaster were hiding something, and if they'd never answer him then he would call the cops. It was epic. But Johann stopped him and said it was not needed because Arden was there. He pointed to the door and Arden came in. Natamive and everyone was shocked to the death. Till now in our story, a lot of things have happened, like the match, cheating, Tom and Jerry things, but now Arden has come in front of everyone. P4 was shocked and silent, and Herman was way more shocked, and that's why Arden attacked him to calm him down. But Edward attacked him and stopped. Michaelis saw the scar on Arden's head, and he remembered the past. He removed his eye patch and summoned Michaelis. Michaelis came and Phantom Hive ordered him to grab Arden, and he obeyed his order, and Johann was shocked. Even everyone was, but it was the fact that Michaelis was the butler of our hero. Now Phantom Hive asked the headmaster about what was happening, and he had a gun. Herman started talking and said they had done this to protect. He was making the lamest excuse, and it was mind shooting. He said he had done everything with the other P4, and it was because Arden had a curse. So, he killed him, and they settled the matter with the help of Adgar's cousin, who came up with a mysterious man, and Michaelis started talking. He joined all the small pieces and said the headmaster and the lost students were all connected to one, and he pointed to the headmaster. P4 tried to refuse, but Phantom Hive was also shocked, and the headmaster removed his cap and his hair was long. Our man came to know that he was an undertaker. In the past he was related to the queen in Phantom Hive, but he was a problem creator. He was a manipulator and was a headache for everyone. He made an army of undead and tried to destroy everything. He was a grim reaper in Phantom Hive, lost him in the last battle. Undertaker told them that they would meet soon, and now it was the time. He told them that he wasn't expecting them, and the same was from our side. But Undertaker said he was not the main head, and the investigation was getting more interesting for Michaelis. Lawrence said Arden was not supposed to be in the school because when all the P4 was selected, Johann told them to swear and they fired the new beginning. Now they were finally able to step into the garden, and they were very happy, and out of their happiness they started crying, and it was a historical moment. Arden was their butler, and they got a task about student bullying. Arden was a very good butler. He took all the responsibilities and all the P4 was happy from his side. Arden managed the case of the students drinking in the school, and the next day he read a poem written by someone to the P4. It was very interesting and cheered for them. Adgar took that poem, and at night he took all the P4 with himself and said the things in the poem were symbols and had meaning. He started following the meaning out of the poem, and they all reached the room where Arden was torturing a student with other students, and Adgar's expectations were ruined because Arden was a real manipulator. Hope you liked till now. Tell me your feedback in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like it.